The guy suggested that I make my own Reddit. So here's my own personal Reddit, and I'm going to be posting a lot of my videos. The thing is, a lot of other guys are posting great stuff. Now, I want to read this from Acrobatic Lab. This is his post and explains intersectional feminist tactics. Now, I'm going to read it out because this is important. This is important for you guys to understand what's going on. Now, Acrobatic Lab, an important post for newcomers. Understand intersectional feminist tactics. I want to explain one of the major tactical mistake right-wingers use when fighting against feminism. Actually, right-wingers don't really fight against feminism. This mistake is, in fact, helps feminists out a lot and gives them credibility in the eyes of society. First, let me explain how feminism operates in the real world and what their goals are politically. Feminism is a movement born from the female instinct to socially dominate society and men. That's an important thing for you guys to understand. The idea that females are submissive is just false myth. Reality is the reverse. Females are very dominant and controlling. Feminism is perhaps one of the most successful political movements in history. The end goal of feminism is power so they can expand female privilege. Feminists have won the victory after victory, metaphorically trampling over the faces of men. 100% true. Once feminists reach critical mass in a social movement, they will occupy all the gatekeeper positions and exclude anyone who is anti-feminist. Guys find that out the hard way. Anti-feminism is a sane, rational position simply because feminism is anti-feminist is a sane, rational. I think he means the opposite. It's a reactionary hate movement. Feminism wants to control the direction of society and control the narrative. So feminists want to control groups that give the feminist movement credibility. This is an important one right here. Intersectional feminism is one example of the feminists taking control of various different groups to wrap themselves up in a shroud of progressivism. This is important because feminism is a regressive hate movement. It's a regressive hate movement. But because they're females, everyone fights the men and just pays attention to what they say, right? Feminists have hijacked the racial and queer issues for their own ends, to fit their own narrative. If you challenge their LGBT or BLM attack dogs, and that's what they are, they're attack dogs. Gay men are attack dogs for women. Trans people are attack dogs for women. You will be framed as a homophobic racist. Even though the LGBT label is homophobic and erases the plight of gay men, it's very important. And Black Lives Matter is led by black feminists who hate black men 100%. If you try pointing this out to people, people shut down the conversation with thought-terminating cliches. You'll be framed as a reactionary bigot by them, right? For two reasons. One is they've been programmed by seeing feminism is good, but also innately they want to. People just want to. Women back women, and men also back women, even if against their own, what do you call it? Our own, screw it. Intersectional feminism has been very important in growing the prestige of feminists in the past 30 years. Feminism is seen as a movement for the underdog by many people. Exactly. Exactly. Feminism has co-opted left-wing politics, completely using the same tactics they have with intersectional movements. Exactly. I have a video called The Left Wing Has to Do Something with Their Right-Wing Girlfriend, meaning feminist. the far-right hate movement. Feminists gatekeep all the major left-wing spaces. And if you do not believe me, try bringing up men's rights in a left-wing online space, and you will soon be banned. 100% true from experience. Try challenging feminist politics in a left-wing political party, and you will soon be booted out. If you point out how harmful feminism has been to men, especially working class men, you will be ignored and shunned. Because those working class men, they want their ladies. They're willing to work like dogs for women. So they're not going to support someone that actually supports their plight, right? Feminism operates by marginalizing men who do not conform to the feminist narrative. And it works really well. They boot all the guys out to have a backbone, and that's all you've got left is male feminist. And frames the low status men they exclude as reactionaries who are against progressive politics. That's very important. This has been a highly successful tactics for feminists. Progressive men go along with this because they do not want to be booted out. And they want to impress the feminist females in their spaces. Exactly. It's a double whammy. Also, many men are hostile to each other, yes, and are fine with other men being marginalized and shunned. That's why that is important because remember, we reject the masculinity term. And one of my compatriots, Mr. Pink and Yellow, points out it's all about male hostility. Guys who cling to the masculine label want to be able to look down on other men. They don't care that a woman's going to kick them in the face and humiliate them. They just want to attack other men. Feminist ideas are not progressive, thank you, and are in fact regressive. The use of threat narratives against men, false stereotypes about masculinity, female supremacy, and the demands of female privileges over men. These traits are regressive. We have to educate people that feminism is not progressive. We have to stop falling into the false feminist frame. The problem is right-wing reactionaries keep on falling into the feminist frame repeatedly. Thus, unwittingly validate the feminist narrative in the eyes of society. Sometimes it's not unwittingly, though. A lot of these right-wingers side with feminists. They know what they are, and they side with them anyway. Because, like I said, they're male hostile. This makes right-wingers very bad ally in the fight against feminism. Well, they are allied with feminists, right? When right-wingers attack feminists for being liberals or progressive, it makes most onlookers believe that feminists must be liberals and progressives, right? Because right-wingers are such scum. Matter of fact, they're so scummy that I've had right-wingers claim that they aren't. I'm not a right-winger. I just believe in everything they say and support all their positions, right? When right-wingers ran against equality and then rant on about the USSR or communism in reply to feminist calls for equality, that helps validate the false feminist claims about them wanting equality, right? Feminism is not about equality and is in fact against the concept of it. When exactly like feminists have joined up with right-wingers to knock down shared parenting. If they were about equality, they would support shared parenting, but they want the woman to have absolute control in the family unit. When people see right-wingers push against equality in reply to feminist movement, the average person will think, wow, these old reactionaries want to stop women getting equal rights. Exactly. Women have more rights than men, and feminists are pushing for even more rights for women at the expense of men. That's important because it's the expense of men, which is what they're really after. It's not really privileges so much that women want. It's just they want the harm of men. The feminist narrative about wanting equality is just false and therefore gaslighting. Instead of fighting against the concept of equality and validating feminist straw man positions, right wingers should be pointing out female privilege and the fact that women have more rights than men, which is absolutely true. We have to detach feminism from progressive politics and try to cure it of the feminist cancer it is suffering. We can try, but I'm telling you, men want feminist women around. You know, they're willing to be kicked in the face as long as a woman's doing it. So it's an upward battle, right? We have to repeatedly point out female privilege. We have to point out the female track record of blocking equal rights for men. We have to call out female empowerment narratives as narcissistic, privileged females calling for even more privilege. Yes, that's what we have to do. Thank you. Thank you, Acrobatic Lab. We have to reject the feminist framing of issues 100%. We have to reject feminist narratives on the wage gap, rape culture, emotional labor, gender violence, domestic violence, and affirmative action. Actually, a lot of these things that these feminist women claim are their issues are our issues. Any married man, for example, can claim emotional labor. Even if someone gives into the feminist frame a little bit, they're unwittingly validating the feminist movement and giving it a pretext to exist. Exactly. Feminist hate movement should be right there with the KKK on the fringe of society. Feminism has never been reasonable, and it's always been about female supremacist power grab. There is no compromise to be had with feminists, and it's impossible. They have to be excluded from any political entity 100%. Thank you, Acrobatic. That's just what I said. If you reach any compromise with feminists, that means they are only giving in it out of a position of weakness. The feminists will lick their wounds and bide their time. And once they gain enough critical mass of supporters, they will come back and boot you out of the organization you were part of. Then they will take total control of the organization completely. That is important. These women are sharks. They move and eat and move and eat. They are never going to give in. They have to be ousted 100%. It's the scorpion and the frog. Ever hear that fable? The frog crosses the river and the scorpion gets on his back and says, "Look, I won't sting you because then we both die." And the frog gets fooled and says, "Yeah, that makes sense." Then the scorpion stings the frog and they both die because that's all that matters to the scorpion. Feminist women are scorpions. Feminists will always network and work together and exclude others. This is the natural animal behavior of the feminist female. I'm glad he said that. It is animal behavior. It's the opposite of evolution. Feminist females are high social dominance orientated women, and they will never be happy. They will want more and more power. Feminism is a hate movement. Thank you. I'm going to upvote this. We have to stop them from using the left as a shield to hide this, right? Feminists have taken everything over more or less: social media platforms, corporations, political parties. Unless men ditch the false consciousness, they will not change. This is not a call to be loyal to the left. Thank you for saying that. Any pro-male movement has to be beyond left or right politics, and it has to put the welfare of men first. Thank you, Acrobatic. Thank you. Like I say, just because the pro-male movement is progressive doesn't mean we want to be attached to a particular party. We are for men, number one. I remember one of the guys actually arguing that, said we want to attach to these other parties and kind of sneak in under the radar. It doesn't work. Men have to face that fact. We're on our own. We have to charge in for ourselves on by ourselves, right? And weather the storm. Anyway, I'm going to put this in the description box if you guys want to come in and join the Reddit and give your own opinions and maybe post yourselves, please do. It doesn't have to be from my videos, obviously. Even though I have a lot of videos to post, this is for any guy who's pro male and wants to, you know, add his voice. Okay. So we'll end it here.